So a few months back, I dropped the ultimate pocket operator guide. Here's that video, and thanks to everyone who watched it. In true LK fashion, there's gonna be some hands-on examples as to why these are the pocket operators that I decided to hold on to, and also just how pocket operators are great, affordable little tools in general. And if you've been living under a rock, or if you're new to the whole gear DAWless thing, pocket operators are essentially samplers and or sequencers that you're able to create beats with. Oftentimes the beats have like a particular sound, kind of like this, or this. Before getting into this, today's sponsor is DistroKid. They are a music distribution platform that I've been using for over 5 years now. They distribute 1/3 of the world's music, just to give you an idea of like how big of a player they are. And we'll be getting into a few reasons why I think they're number one and why you should use them as a music distributor if you're looking to officially release your music later in this video. If you're interested in purchasing any of these, be sure to take a look in the description for affiliate links. If you end up using those links, I make a small commission off of that sale. It helps my channel a lot. It helps keep this whole thing going. It also doesn't cost you anything extra. Timestamps are linked in the description as well if you'd like to jump to something specific within this video. The POKO, I mean, this is sort of like a pretty obvious answer, I would say. I think the POKO is the most popular pocket operator for good reason. It's the OG sampling pocket operator. The PO133 Street Fighter is essentially another version of the POKO, but it's got like that gimmicky Street Fighter thing. So on the bottom two rows here, you have your drum banks. Let's see what I already have in here. Oh, sick. So if I drop a new sample in here from my computer, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And you can see a countdown of how much time I have left, how much sampling time. And now it's been chopped. Oof, lots of harmonic content to work with there. Ironically, I'm going to be sampling a pocket operator into another pocket operator here. It does a pretty good job of finding the transients and chopping that up on its own, so check this out. Right, so that those have been found. I could pitch those if I want. Honestly, this bottom section here, so the sampling and or drum section, is mostly where I live on the POKO. But then up here, let's see what we've got up here already. Okay. Right, so we have some samples. Let's choose this one. On the dance floor, I'm gonna raise the volume of that a little bit. And so as you can see, this is a melodic thing. It's the same sample, just being pitched differently.
On the dance floor, on the dance floor, on the dance floor, on the dance floor.
And one thing to take note of as well is that the lower pitch samples, they do sound slower, right? So it's like, it's true pitch. So the first part I'll add here, just to have like a metronome sort of thing going on, is the kick. Bop, 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 bop. After this, I have these chords that I can mess around with. Let's try this over the groove that we have. And I also want this to be a little bit quicker. How do I do that? Oh, way too fast. Bring this up to maybe like 130-ish, 130, 120, no, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we could perform this in. There it is. Okay, I'll add that snare in. I should mention that the drum kit that I added to pattern 9, I copied that over to pattern 10. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to layer it like I'm doing. You can't layer drums from the same bank over top of each other, so one thing to take note of. So I'm going to copy pattern 9 over to pattern 10, and on the second one, we could add variations to that. I'm going to erase the piano part that I added. Okay, so this could be the second variation. Let's give that a whirl. 3. So let's go ahead and link those two patterns together, see how that sounds. With effects, most of these effects are rhythmic on the KO. Whoa. Right, so that's like a stutter sort of thing. Yeah. And these could also be recorded into the pattern as well, I believe. Let's go ahead and do that. 2, 3. Right, so that's been recorded in. I'm actually going to get rid of that. Kind of a scratch, interesting idea, but this just gives you a sense of what the POKO is actually possible of. Next up is the PO12 rhythm, which has a sound for sure. Unlike with the POKO, where you're essentially able to enter any sonic territory because of sampling, the PO12 definitely has a sound. You're stuck with that sound. It's a good sound. So I'll just throw down one of these patterns. Yeah. Before you ask where I got this insane case, check out my volts. I've linked that in the description. In terms of drum sounds, even years after receiving the PO12, I still think that this thing has a place within my drum machine collection. It still slaps. I'm never going to be getting rid of this thing. So let's just hear the drums on their own. You have like a transient shaper here. So if you want really short drums, as well as a tuning knob. Like that kick. Hi-hats. So this is like an open hi-hat thing. And by the way, you're able to automate this as well. Like you could automate open and close hi-hats within your grooves, which we'll take a look at for sure. The thing that I love about the PO12 is that it's simple. It's a drum machine. It's got a very simple yet solid sequencer, and it sounds the way that it sounds. So I'm actually gonna head over to a different pattern. Okay, cool, so that's the pattern. You can actually see everything that's happening here. Where's that cowbell? It's right there. Okay, so this here, I'm gonna head over to that. And from here, while the groove is playing, right, so that's been recorded in. And I'll do the same thing with these hi-hats. I want them to maybe have a little bit more dynamics to them, some more intonation. There we go. Maybe change the tuning of them. So you could do that with all 16 of these drums. And so what I've done on this next pattern here, this one, is I've copied it over here and I've just added bass onto this second pattern. So the two of them together, like this. Here, the bass, no bass. Honestly, this one barely makes the list for me considering the competition and just like the overlap from the other pocket operators that I own. It's sort of a combination of the PO33 in the sense that it's able to sample. You could sample pretty much anything into it, but just the idea of speak, the PO35 speak, they want you to sample your own vocals into it, which is what I've been doing. Just gonna choose a slot here that I don't really care about. Okay, here we go. Yay! Oh, sorry, do that again. Yay! Okay, so there's automatically like an effects over top of it. I think that's just because previously I had already messed with the effects. You can mess with the pitch. And so one thing to take note of here is that even though they're different pitches, They're all the same length, right? So it's just an effect that's thrown over top of my vocal. Right, so you could run through all these different effects to add over top of it. And so the thing about the PO35 is this little drum section down here. The drums sound great, but you're not able to layer anything. You only have one little drum section, and that's on pad 16, or button 16. The cool thing is that some of these drums are layered, right? So like this is a layered kick and snare, which is kind of clever. Same thing here, layered hi-hat and kick and clap. Right, so these are like just, these are just little workarounds to actually be able to layer a beat. Obviously, it's not the same as the other pocket operators on this list where you're able to layer like several drums over top of each other. You guys know that I love drums, and so I don't want to be limited when I'm doing my drums. I had mentioned that the POKO is number 1 on this list. The PO35 is definitely number 4. And then there is the PO32, the PO Tonic. I would consider the PO32 as like the next iteration of the PO12, the PO Rhythm. It has a lot of similarities. It's got that slap that the PO12 has. Before getting into it though, let's talk about today's sponsor, DistroKid. Here's a few reasons why you should be using DistroKid as opposed to other music distribution platforms, especially if you're an independent artist or producer. Firstly, they're on the cutting edge of social media and new music promotional tools. They're definitely the pioneers in that sense because their platform depends on people like us, independent artists and producers, to use these tools to promote our own music. The amount of stores or streaming platforms that DistroKid distributes to is insane. And they also keep up to date with smaller or up and coming platforms that you might not even know about or have access to. So a perfect example of this is a platform called KKBox, which DistroKid distributes to. You think that Spotify is my biggest streaming earner, but it's actually not. KKBox is, so thank you DistroKid for keeping track of that. DistroKid does not take a cut. They deliver 100% of streaming royalties to you, no extra charge. Independent artists and producers, there is a reason why DistroKid distributes 1/3 of the world's music, which is insane. Okay, back to the video. So the PO32, like the PO12, is another drum machine, essentially. In fact, you know what? Just to give you like a direct comparison here, we're going to run the PO12, right? So I'm just gonna play some random pattern. So that's the sound. So I'll play another random pattern on the PO32. Right, so, you know, it's very similar. It just has, these are stock patterns, by the way. I'm not sure why, but for some reason I resort to the PO32 more for bass tones. I think mostly because of that. That could also be considered a bass tone. Whereas the PO12 is like strictly a drum machine. Another thing I'm sure you know about pocket operators is that you're actually able to sync these two up. I've gone into more details about that in this video, so check that out. It's actually a very simple setup, so I select these two buttons here, bop, bop, and I've chose SY1, so sync 1, and now I have to make sure that this one's armed. So I armed it, there's a play button here, and now when I hit play, this is gonna play through. Right, so on this one, I've just selected one pattern. It's playing the same thing over and over again. And then on this one, I've selected pattern 1 twice, bop, bop, pattern 2 twice, bop, bop, 3 twice, bop, bop, 4 twice, bop, bop. So now this is kind of like a musical way of using these two together and syncing them up together. Let's see what this one is. Right, so this here, it's just like we're just layering parts as we go on. And so that is my current pocket operator situation, my pocket operator rundown, my PO box Hopefully this video was informative to you in some way. Do you agree with these choices? Would you have chosen a different pocket operator for your top 4 or your top 3 or whatever? If you're interested in having a one-on-one lesson with me, I'm offering discounts to patrons. Thanks so much for watching and hope to see you soon.